Welcome everybody. Today is day 40, Hod of Yesod, humility of bonding. In order for there to be healthy connections and bonding between people, each has to be whole within their own right. There is no room for ego, no room for arrogance, pride, or power plays. Each person needs to come from a place of humility and want the best for the other. Each person needs to have the other interest at heart rather than only seeking to feed their own. Each person should reach to see and know the best in the other and the divinity within. Every person is unique. Every relationship has its own dynamic. Whatever situational or personal difference, humility needs to be the underlying factor in order for the bond to be rich and rewarding, able to last a lifetime and beyond. There are two sayings from Proverbs. One is, who is wise? He who learns from every person. Who is strong? He who subdues his personal inclination. As it is said, he who is slow to anger is better than a strong man, and a master of his passions is better than a conqueror of a city. Learning, growing, expanding self-awareness through the study of these emotional attributes will help all of us become more wise. Our self-actualization and relationships will benefit. Our world will be elevated as well. Strength comes in many ways: kindness, the ability to work through our darker emotions to let the light through. Having the humility and the strength to look at ourselves deeply and honestly affects change, not only in us, but like a flower that unfolds and blossoms to touch many. There are a few steps that we're going to share right now towards creating humility in your relationships so that you can foster better bonding. The first thing we want to do is let go of judgment. It is not for us to judge anyone, least of all our loved ones and people who wish to be a part of our lives and we wish to bond with. Save the running commentary on likes and dislikes. Rather, just let them wash away with the understanding that no one is perfect. If someone is so perfect that they think they can cast aspersions on another, well, that may not be the person that you want to be bonded with. Let go of pretense. Be willing to let your hair down, so to speak, and let the other person see you, who you really are, how you really are, what you really are. Allow and encourage them to do the same. No makeup, no false facade, just the real you. Take it or leave it. The bond that you create will have truth and honesty wiring it. Sooner or later, the makeup fades, the wrinkles, they appear, and that svelte figure can morph into something else. Humility allows for true bonding to coexist with reality. Two real people reaching out to connect with one another with no pretense. Two real people reaching toward one another with humility, honesty, and love. Accept differences. It's our differences that can sometimes divide us. This is the opposite of what we want when we're trying to bond with another person. Everyone has a right to their point of view. If you want to be bonded, you may have to rise above politics, worldview, and certain prejudices. You may need to agree to disagree, accept, and overlook in order for the bond to flourish. If you can't do this, there may always be constant struggles or disagreements that can damage the bond. Battles can erode the bond you wish to create and threaten your connection. It may be best to actually accept your differences, and if over time you can't and they actually become totally unbearable, consider moving on. This then leads us to embrace individuality. We are all individuals. When we can embrace our individuality, we can actually have more to share with another person. When two people are fully whole and unique in their own right, there can be so much more to share. Not to mention the conversation is going to be a lot more interesting. It's nice to have a sense of sameness. Common interests and similarities can be comforting, can also facilitate a strong bond. However, have you ever heard the saying, opposites attract? Don't cast aside a possible connection because someone is their own person. They're unique, an individual, capable of standing on their own. Foster humility in your interactions, and the bond that you create may be filled with vibrancy and life. Then you want to actually give each other the room to breathe. Have you ever met somebody who takes up all your airspace and won't allow you to breathe? Now, this is something different than someone who takes your breath away. Be humble enough to let the other person have the room to exist, to coexist alongside of you. Be humble enough to let them do what they need to do for themselves so that they can be whole enough to give to you, and vice versa. And then you want to have trust. Get rid of jealousy. It's challenging at times to be willing to trust another to have their own friends, to have their own interests or hobbies separate from you. However, if you can't have humility and honorability in your interactions, then bonding is just going to flat unravel. Monitoring another's every single move, being possessive, monitoring and looking at their phone calls, their texts, their voicemails, their emails, their friendships, all of this is surely going to destroy any connection you could ever hope to have. Over time, it will eat away at everything good and solid you may have had. True humility has no jealousy within it and actually comes from a place of trust. And then you want to be able to say, I'm sorry, you are right, and thank you. These three phrases will take you far in building, maintaining, and honoring bonds. Being humble, owning your mistakes, asking for forgiveness neutralizes many a bad situation. Alexander Pope said, a man should never be ashamed to own he has been in the wrong, which is but saying that he is wiser today than he was yesterday. Being humble enough to be willing to admit that you are wrong and another is right is sometimes challenging, but ultimately soothes the soul and validates another's position. Being willing to show appreciation, letting the other know how much they have made a difference in your life promotes bonding as well. There's a quote, thank you is the best prayer that anyone can say. Thank you expresses extreme gratitude, humility, and understanding. Essentially, we're all human. We all have our foibles, we all have our flaws to deal with. In order to be truly bonded to another, we have to be humble in our dealings and allow each other the grace to simply just be. Be whoever we are on our own, and hopefully be better and stronger together than apart. And that is Hod of Yesod, humility in bonding. Tune in tomorrow for Yesod of Yesod. We're going to get a double dose of bonding. See you then.